Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's sports podcast, Friday, the 23rd of July, 2021. Today is the day of the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Some of the sports are already underway, including the football and I think the softball. I know the Team GB ladies football team have already won their first game 2-0 against Chile with 2 goals, Mel and White, so that's a good start for them, and hopefully they'll be in the hunt for the medals when it comes to the sharp end of the competition. Obviously, with the men's competition, we don't have a team in that. I've been keeping a sort of brief eye on what's going on. I saw that New Zealand won 1-0 in their game, and Chris Wood scored the winner. I believe Richarlison scored a hat-trick or something in his game for Brazil in their first game. Although in the ladies' competition, USA ladies were beaten for the first time in 44 games, so it was a bit of a shock there. But it's all early stages in the group games, and anything can happen before we get to the sharp end of the competition, so let's see what happens. So whilst we're talking about Olympics, I'd like to wish all the best to all the Team GB competitors. Hope they can bring back a good haul of medals. The Olympics don't hold the appeal to me as they used to when I was sort of like a teenager, when I was 16, 17, 18. So the Los Angeles Olympics were the main ones for me. But sort of keep an eye on what's going on really. And obviously it's an important event across the world. We have got some good competitors. You'd expect someone like maybe Dean Asher-Smith to come up with the goods. Katarina Johnson-Thompson. In the tennis, Jamie Murray and Neil Skupski, if they're playing, I think they may be. They've got a good chance of a medal, I would have thought. Dan Evans was ruled out. In the singles, Djokovic has got to be a clear favourite because most of the top players have pulled out. Naomi Osaka returns in the women's competition, so she's going to be with shout and want to win her home country. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out over the next couple of weeks. So I'll try and keep you abreast of the main events over the next couple of weeks. The pink things that people are likely to be interested in, the main things. Okay. Let's talk briefly about football. Not a lot about football to talk about this week. There's not much happening after the end of the Euros, really. Halifax Town have released 2 of their players. Well, they haven't released them. They've sold them on. Neil Byrne has left Halifax to go to Hartlepool, and Jake Hyde has left Halifax to go to Wrexham. Town fans, if you're watching this, let me know what your views are on those. My personal views are that maybe Byrne will be a bigger loss in the long run than Hyde. Hyde spent quite a bit of the season injured last year. He did score a few goals, but he wasn't quite as prolific as we'd hoped for. He's okay. I'm not sure he really was happy or settled in Halifax. There were rumours he were going to leave before the end of the season, so I aren't that surprised. Burma were a bigger disappointment. We've got to trust that Pete Wild has got good replacements lined up. He says he has. He's made a big statement to try and reassure the fans on the end of the weekend, so let's hope that's the case. And I think the first friendly game is on Tuesday night against Farsley, and they've got one I think Friday against Carlisle. So 5 or 6 games I think, and maybe one still to arrange. The last one at home to Huddersfield B team has now been moved to an afternoon kick-off behind closed doors. Okay, so that's where we are with the football. Not really got anything else to report. Everton have signed 2 or 3 players, but nothing of any importance really. Damari Gray, Andros Townsend and Asmir Begovic. I'm not sure they will improve a team. Everton fans, if you're watching, do you think they'll actually improve your team or not? Because I'm not sure they will. Okay, so moving on from the football, we'll talk about cricket now. And the 100 is underway. The first 2 games have been played. Oval Invincibles against Manchester Originals. I've watched bits of both of those games on some of it on Sky and some of it on BBC, just to get a feel for what the coverage is going to be like. My initial thoughts were that the BBC coverage was a little bit too family orientated, not enough concentration on the cricket, too much about the periphery, and a little bit about diversity. Now that's fine, diversity is fine, but it's not got to be the key. It's not got to be the main thing. It's got about the sport. There has been some good skills on show. Good crowds as well for both matches. I think the first match, the women's match, was the highest domestic women's crowd for a match in England. So that's a good sign. Let's see how it goes, shall we? Some of the incidents have been good, like I say, but I'm not sure how good it will be. Yorkshire have qualified for the T20 Blast quarter-finals as well. As mentioned that while we're on that kind of cricket. So good luck to them in the quarter-finals. I'm not sure exactly when it is, but good luck to them in that game. Moving on to the local Halifax Cricket League now, and a quick look back at last weekend's results first of all. We had the first tie of the season between Mythe Royd and Shelford North Arm Hedgetop. They both scored 202. Shelford North Arm Hedgetop scored 202 for 9, and Mythe Royd were 202 all out. So 8 points to Mythe Royd, 9 points from Shelford in that game. At the top of the table, Triangle are pulling clear. I think they're 23-24 points clear now at the table. They beat Bradshaw on Saturday. Bradshaw did put up a decent performance actually here. Triangle scored 304 for 6 in their innings. The main contributor to that was Nathan Madden. He scored 85, and we had half centuries also for Watson and Crossland. And for Bradshaw in the bowling department, Johnny Lister took 3 wickets. When it comes to the batting side of things, Bradshaw got 203 all out, and again Johnny Lister played a main part here. He scored 66 in that innings, and Charlie Holt Conway scored 41. So it was a decent fight. The main damage on the bowling side of things was done by Curtis Whippy and also by Denham. So they're 3 wickets apiece for those 2 guys. And it proves crucial in the end up. So Triangle took 12 points and Bradshaw took 4. Sawbury Bridge got back to winning ways with a victory over Worley by 16 runs. So 12 points for Sawbury Bridge, 5 points for Worley. Sawbury Bridge scored 173. There was 173 all out. There wasn't a massive contributor here. It was sort of like a team effort. Everybody scored a few runs each. Lewis Mattock scored 32, and he was the top scorer for Sawbury Bridge. And they bowled Worley all out for 157. And John Brown took 4 wickets for 42 there. He did quite a bit of damage and a couple of wickets apiece also for Dixon and Belfield. So that's a good result for Sawbury Bridge. It takes them up the table to 10th now. Bradshaw in 8th, so they're mid-table. So hoping to kick on from here. In the other results from last weekend, Blackley beat Copley by 36 runs. Blackley scored 170 for 9. Copley were 134 all out. Thornton beat Illingworth St Mary's by 80 runs. Thornton scored 142 all out, and Illingworth St Mary's were all out for 62, which will be really disappointing for the guys at Illingworth. That's a really poor performance by them. And we've already mentioned the Mythe and Roy Shelf North Harlem Hedgetop game, which was a tie. And then the other game, which was a real surprise, and it was just caused the gap at the table to open up. SBCI beat Booth by 76 runs. SBCI 197 for 9, and in response, Booth were all out for 121. So 12 points for SBCI and 3 points for Booth. So like I say, a clear lead at the top of the table for Triangle. Looking forward to this weekend, and we have Blackley at home to Mythe and Royd, Booth at home to Sawbury Bridge. Then we've got Shelford North Harlem Hedgetop at home to SBCI. We have Thornton at home to Copley, Triangle at home to Illingworth St Mary's, and we've got Worley at home to Bradshaw. So there's some good games to look forward to. The forecast looks like it might hold okay. We've had some lovely, really hot weather. Some people might find it too hot, but good hot weather last week or so, last 2 weeks really. So hopefully it will stay fine most of the time tomorrow. The forecast looks okay-ish. There might be a little bit of rain, but not to the point where it should ruin the game. So hopefully we can get through all the matches and they'll see some good cricket tomorrow. Okay. Moving on from cricket now, we're going to talk about other sports such as golf. Colin Morikawa won the Open Championship at Royal St George's on Sunday. His second major tournament win. He's only 24 years old. He must be in with a shout of winning the Olympics as well as taking part as far as I know in the golf, so he must have a chance of winning that. He's in really good form at the moment. He's up there with the likes of John Rahm as one of the best players in the world at this point in time. So well done to Colin on winning that, and he's like I say, he's in good company winning 2 majors at such a young age. In terms of motor racing, Lewis Hamilton controversially won the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. There was a collision on the first lap with Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen crashed out. There was a clash with Hamilton. It caused a lot of, shall we say, disharmony between the 2 teams, between Mercedes and Red Bull. But after being handed a 10-second penalty during the race, Hamilton still managed to win the race by passing Charles Leclerc. Also mentioned to Lando Norris, who did well, finishing 4th in that race. We've got the first test match in the British Lions Rugby Union Tour coming up tomorrow, and after his injury, Alan Wynne-Jones is back to captain the side. Hopefully it'll be a good start to the test series for the Lions, and we'll update you on that next weekend, see how it goes. Okay, so fingers crossed for the Lions. With regards to British Speedway at the moment, and we'll come back to the World Championship in a moment, but British Speedway, good result for Peterborough last night. They comfortably beat Sheffield at Owlerton. They took all 4 points. Star man was Chris Harris, riding reserve, scored 16 points from 7 rides. Adam Ellis rode well for Sheffield. I think he scored 16 points from 6 rides, but they missed Jack Holder. We had Nick Morris as a guest, who did okay, but it was tough for him to replace Jack Holder. He isn't at the same level as Jack Holder, to be fair. So it was difficult. But the reserves only scored 2 points for Sheffield, and that's where the feeling those will be left out. I think there might be some changes coming up here. Not sure whether Josh Bates will ride again, and James Wright isn't really performing. Kyle Bickley wasn't the answer last night, so we could see some more changes at Sheffield. And the other match tonight was a surprise result. Disappointing for Bellevue. We lost by 46 points to 44 at Kings Lynn. Last heat decider, Bellevue sort of like they were behind from the start, pulled back and got in front by 6 points, but then struggled in heats 12 and 15. Well, sorry, heats 12 and 14. Steve Worrell was the weak link, really, unfortunately, I have to say. 2-5-1s conceding races when one of them should clearly have won the level he's supposed to be at, but he's not been quite the same rider since he broke his leg a couple of seasons ago, and it's showing again. Also, Brady Kurtz isn't quite performing as well as he should be doing. They won at Peterborough, which was a good result on Monday when they beat Peterborough away, and Kurtz scored 10. We had 0-1 and 3 threes on a row, but last night he had a 0-1, 3 and 0, and 4 from number one's not good enough. And he isn't consistent, and I had my doubts for the start of the season as to whether he's going to be good enough to be number one. He shows promise, he's got some ability, but he doesn't seem to be able to capitalise on it. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of the season, but that could be a weak link for Bellevue. And they've got a really tough match coming up on Monday. They're at Monmore at Wolverhampton, who are now top of the table, and I think they'll fancy themselves to beat Bellevue at home on their tricky little track down at Monmore. So we'll see what happens there, and I'll keep you updated on that as well next week. But like I say, Wolves, Peterborough, Bellevue are the three teams pulling away at the top. That was Kings Lynn's first home win last night. They will be disappointed with Bellevue. Bewley Road, well, they scored 14 and 2 bonus, I think, from 6 rides, including a great first-to-first blast in heat 13, but it wasn't enough. They missed Charles Wright maybe a little bit as well, although Richie Worrell performed well and scored 9 in a bonus, so that was a positive for the meet for Bellevue. So let's see how it goes in the next couple of weeks anyway. It's getting to the important end of the season, August, September, October time, and as Eurosport, the presenter Abby was saying last night, there's going to be a lot of action now. There might not be any on Speedway now till after the Olympics, I don't think, but after that it's going to be a busy time, so there's plenty to watch on TV if you've got Eurosport. Moving on from that to the World Championship, and after the first 2 rounds of the Speedway Grand Prix last weekend, we've got Magic Janowski in the lead. He's got 38 points after the first 2 rounds. He had a win in the second. He's got a 6-point gap to the other 2 riders, which I believe are Emil Saifutinov and Artem Laguta. So they're on 32, and I think Freddie Lindgren's on 30 actually as well. So there's 4 of them. Ty Wolfen did alright in the first meeting, struggling. He got to the final, finished third, a little bit fortuitously in the first meeting. Struggled somewhat, didn't make the semi-finals, so he got 7 points in the second meeting. Robert Lambert was unlucky in the first meet. He scored 7 points, and in the second round he only scored 3 points, so he's only got about 9 points so far. It's about 13th, 14th in the standings. I think he's 13th, but long way to go yet. Next weekend, Wroclaw sees a double round, Friday and Saturday, 13th, 31st of July, so it could all change again there. And we'll see, but the wild card, by the way, is Gleb Chuganov for those 2 rounds. He rides for Wroclaw, the Russian lad, so he'll be interesting. He's a good rider and won't be far of getting into the Grand Prix at some point, although he can't represent Russia at the moment because they're not allowed to represent Russia because of the WADA ban. Just for anybody who wasn't sure why they were not showing a Russian flag next to the name of Saifutinov and Laguta last weekend. They're not allowed to because of the rules. They're allowed to take part because they've been cleared of doping offences, but they can't represent Russia. So I hope that clears things up on that. Okay, now on to World Stock Cars, and this weekend sees the European Championship final at Northampton. The meetings are for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I think the Sunday afternoon is normally the championship race. We've also got the World Championship semi-finals coming up. The draw was made this weekend. Tom Harris, the current world champion, finished top of the qualifiers, and he's chosen Skegness for his semi-final. So he'll be racing at Skegness on the 14th of August in the second semi-final. The first semi-final is at Kings Lynn on Saturday the 31st. Looking at the lineups, most of the drivers who prefer shale probably are on shale anyway. The only exception, probably Sean Webster's been drawn at Kings Lynn. He's a tarmac driver mainly, so he might not be too pleased about that, but he'll give it a go, I'm sure. Chris Fort was a surprise last weekend at Oddsland Sheffield in the last 2 qualifying rounds. He borrowed Ricky Wilson's car. He doesn't really race on shale very often, in fact at all, and he won both meeting finals. So he's now being drawn at Kings Lynn, so I'm guessing he may ask Ricky if he can borrow the car for that. Ricky's been drawn in the semi-final on the tarmac at Skegness, so I like to think that Chris may lend him his car to race on that one, so we'll see what happens, but plenty of good stuff to look forward to in the next month or so in stock cars. So I think that's just about it for this weekend. I can't think of anything else that I've missed. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Any comments you'd like to leave below, please do so. Anything you'd like to see covered, just let me know. And until next week, it's bye from me.